Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome in to Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for being here. Tuesday, February 3rd, rolling on along. We're getting relatively close to free agency. The legal tampering period kicks off March 11th, so we are just over a month away. And that's going to be a big time for the Jaguars and every team in the league, no doubt about it. Making some big decisions on in-house free agents. We've talked a lot about those guys. We will continue talking about that stuff. And I really do think the Jaguars are in a situation where it will be very difficult for them to not take steps forward, honestly. If they believe, which I believe they do, that they're in a championship window, they don't need to sacrifice the future for the present in order to really push a few chips in and say, look, we're going for it. We're not going to sacrifice the future, but we're going for it a little bit here in these next couple years. And maybe this year is their best opportunity coming up. You're having an entire group go into year 2 of a system on both sides of the ball. You don't know if Anthony Campanile is going to be back after 2026. You don't know if Grant Udinski is going to be back after 2026. You don't know what other guys might get poached. Tyler Tuttleton's getting interviewed by the Ravens right now. He's an assistant on the offensive side of the ball as well. So you just don't know what will happen following 2026 with the staff, with all these different things. But I think you're in a position, and with the updated cap figures, the Jaguars are around $10 million over the cap. They can easily clear a lot of cap space in a multitude of ways, whether that be restructures for some of the biggest contracts on the books. When you look at Trevor Lawrence and Josh Hines-Allen, whether that be extending some players, Trayvon Walker particularly, whether that be making some difficult decisions from a cut perspective, right? There's a lot of ways to clear cap space, but they're in a position where I think that they're in a no-lose situation because of the people running the operation, because of James Gladstone at the top when it comes to roster construction. I think that they're going to be in a very good spot to take steps forward in 2026. I don't think they're going to sit on their hands. And that all leads to my thoughts about the pass rush situation, particularly heading into free agency. Obviously, the draft is going to be a big opportunity for the Jaguars to add to their pass rush as well. I think the Jaguars' pass rush situation gets a little bit, I think, overly criticized is what I would say. I think in a lot of big games, when they had opportunities to rush the passer, they did a pretty good job. A lot of people don't realize it. In some of these games where you're highly critical of the pass rush, quarterbacks were getting the ball out incredibly quickly. And that's part of the design of the Jaguars defense. You want to give up short stuff, come down and hit it, stop the run. And then when you get into these clear passing situations, then you start to heat up. Then you start to try to really get aggressive. That's kind of their MO for the Jaguars defensively. Sometimes that can be frustrating because quarterback gets the ball out quickly. People start thinking that there's no pass rush, but really it's just pretty soft coverage. And you can execute that soft coverage a little bit more aggressively, I would say, than the Jaguars have at times. I think overall they played great down the stretch. It just happened that you went up against Josh Allen in a good weather game in the playoffs. And he had a few moments where he was able to beat you easily. And then I think you also have the fact that Greg Newsome probably just wasn't a great fit for the Jaguars defense. I think he's a better man coverage corner than zone corner. And then you also have Travis Hunter wasn't available in that game. I mean, what could he have done for you? And then I think you also look at the fact that, the Jaguars pass rush can improve. I'm not saying all this stuff about the Jaguars defense to say the pass rush can't improve. It absolutely can, and I think it needs to. I think they know that inside the building, but the coverage needs to improve too. It all works together. Josh Hines-Allen had a fantastic season. I think Trayvon Walker's season was largely defined by having to battle through injuries, but that's just kind of the way it goes sometimes, unfortunately. You can't really control that, which is it's a shame, no doubt. Very disappointing, but it's something that happens in the NFL. So you have Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker as your clear top guys. You also have Eric Armstead under contract on the interior. And Eric Armstead, he put up some counting numbers this year. I don't think he was consistent enough, probably for how much he's getting paid. Consistent enough from a pass rush perspective specifically. And he really slowed down the stretch a little bit, which was disappointing to see. But you also have the fact that you brought in DeJuan Smoot, you brought in Emmanuel Ogbah, and they just didn't provide much from a pass rush perspective. You got more out of Danny Strigo and BJ Green, which is great to see those undrafted free agents come in and do some things, right? But you need more. And whether Eric Armstead is part of the future, I don't know. I mean, the Jaguars, if they want to, they could decide to move on from him and try to upgrade the position. Now, the big thing about that would be moving on from him. The best option is the post-June 1 cut, which gives you $14.5 million in cap space, but it doesn't give you that until June 1st. So you're talking about like third, fourth, fifth wave of free agency, whatever you want to call it. It can help you, though. I mean, it can help you get your rookie class under contract, all these different things. The Jaguars have a lot of different options. I think one of those options is bringing in a legitimate impact rusher to be like your third rusher. And again, it doesn't have to be a specific style of player. There's 6 different guys we're going to talk about here that were all listed in ESPN's top 50 that are pass rush type guys that I think could be interesting in different ways for the Jaguars. So that's what we're going to do on the other side. But first, got to remind you all about Underdog. If you're not on Underdog yet, then you are in luck because new customers score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you make your first $5 fantasy entry. Playing Underdog is easy. Just head over to the app, make picks on if a player will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, and more. Right now, this week, obviously, it's the big game coming up. I'm looking at, I love how they do the team matchups as well. So you can just pick whether you think it's going to be the Seahawks, pick whether you think it's going to be the Patriots. I'm personally looking at Sam Darnold to go higher on passing yards. I'm definitely looking at Jackson Smith and Jigba to go higher on passing yards. So go check it out. What are you waiting for, really? I mean, download the app today. Use promo code DuvalDaily to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5 on fantasy. That's promo code DuvalDaily. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. If you're supporting them, you are supporting us. So you're like, okay, you've been talking a lot, but I think it's important to frame like where the Jaguars are at before talking about what they might be doing moving forward. I think they're in a good spot because they have their ace, Josh Hines-Allen. They have Trayvon Walker, who I think will be in a much better place, obviously, with the injury situation. And they have figured out a little bit that they can line those two guys up on the same side and really wreak havoc, cause major problems for opposing offensive lines and quarterbacks. So that's really cool. Now, looking at some of these players, I think Trey Hendrickson is pretty much at the top of the free agent list. And is he the answer? He's 31 years old. He's coming off a season in which there was injuries. If the Jags say, hey, we're going to go out and get Trey Hendrickson, I'm here for it. Absolutely. It would be a little surprising to me because he's going to be probably at the top of the market, all that stuff. But for me, if they sign him, and again, they have plenty of avenues to create more cap space to be able to sign any of the guys we're talking about. But if they sign him, it would be, in my opinion, they'd either say Trayvon's playing inside a lot more. Like a lot. Or Trey Hendrickson, you are our third edge rusher. Whenever Trayvon Walker kicks inside, whenever Trayvon Walker or Josh Hines-Allen need a breather, you're in there. And you're in there in obviously the clear pass rushing situations as well, which again would mean Trayvon Walker is rushing from the interior, probably next to Josh Hines-Allen, because they figured out that worked really well down the stretch. So then you get Trey Hendrickson on the other side, and you can hunt up matchups with these three guys. So he's probably not the one I would target just because, like, I think you can do more. How much is he going to cost? I mean, I don't know. I think you could do more at more spots with adding other guys on this list that would be cheaper. But if you want to make that swing and say, hey, Trey Hendrickson, come in here, be a dominant pass rusher for us when we need you, you could have one of the best pass rushes in football. Just like that. Trayvon Walker on the interior, Josh Hines-Allen, Trey Hendrickson. Good luck stopping that. Right? There's four other guys that are primarily edge players that we're going to look at here, and then one more that is an interior player. More of an interior player, kind of versatile. Jalen Phillips, Miami and Philadelphia. Spent most of his career in Miami. Went over to Philly to end last year. He's a stud, man. And he can play the run. So I would feel a little bit more excited about Phillips. He's younger. But at the same time, like, Trey Hendrickson might make more sense because you feel like, okay, let's go get Trey Hendrickson. We don't have to sign him to a very long deal because he's 31 years old. I mean, this might be a really like 1 or 2 year type of deal for Trey Hendrickson where it's fairly big money. I don't know exactly. I would be surprised if he's getting a 3 or 4 year deal at this point. So Jalen Phillips, you'd probably be signing for a longer amount of time, which might make it difficult to have Jalen Phillips, Trayvon Walker, Josh Hines-Allen all under contract. But I also don't know how much money Jalen Phillips is going to make. In my opinion, he should make a ton. Like, absolutely. But I don't know what that market's going to be like. But if the Jags decide they want to look at Jalen Phillips, it's similar to Hendrickson, except I think that he's just a more well-rounded player. Not as dominant of a pass rusher as Trey Hendrickson is, but a very good run defender, physical, great athlete, all those things. And if you go get Phillips, you're, again, probably viewing Trayvon as more of an interior player, which I'm okay with. I think he can do whatever you need him to do. I think Trayvon Walker could be a dominant 3-tech. Absolutely. And that's not to say he's not a good edge player. He is. But having him rush next to Josh Hines-Allen, rush next to Jalen Phillips, that could be incredible. Odafe Owe from the Chargers, I think not as many people kind of pay attention to him because he's out on the West Coast and stuff, but he had a really good year, and he makes a lot of sense in my opinion as well. I think he's another rung down the list, like expense-wise, cost-wise. He'd probably be even cheaper than Jalen Phillips, but another guy who can stop the run, can play physical, elite athlete, extremely productive. These are the types of guys you're talking about potentially looking for. Now, if you sign an Odafe Owe, if you sign a Jalen Phillips, are you going out and then also pursuing this position in the draft? Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. Because you're signing these guys to multi-year deals. where there's no runway for the draft. Whereas if you sign Trey Hendrickson, there is a potential you get out after a year or two, and then whoever you draft has that opportunity to kind of take that mantle as your top third pass rusher, right? Your top guy off the bench. A couple other guys that are, one of them is a funny name. It's funny. K'Lavon Chaisson. K'Lavon Chaisson has been on an upward trajectory ever since he left Jacksonville, which is just, good for him. That is amazing. Former Jaguars first round pick. And hey, I would just like to say, never wrong, just early. I always liked K'Lavon in the draft. I liked him early on in his career. It was not working out. It was unfortunate, right? But, the last 2 years, Las Vegas, New England, he's been productive now. I mean, he's been really productive. And I feel like K'Lavon is an interesting fit too, because he could potentially be in that Dennis Gardeck role a little bit. He's smaller, athletic. Could you have him in that Dennis Gardeck role and he be an upgrade from a pass rushing perspective, have that versatility to kind of drop and do some different things? That's interesting to me. I mean, I don't think you have him playing off ball, but the part of Dennis Gardeck's role that was on the ball, could that be K'Lavon? I think so. And we know Anthony Campanile can get creative. We absolutely do. Boye Mafe also on the list. Big fan of his game. He's part of the Seattle defense that has just been kicking everybody's ass this year up front, defensive line-wise, including the Jaguars. And I think Boye, price-wise, K'Lavon Chaisson and Boye Mafe might make more sense for the Jaguars. Again, the Jags can do whatever they want, but they might say these two guys fit more within the build cost-wise that we want to approach, or the way we want to approach it. Boye Mafe, like K'Lavon, not the biggest. I think that he is a better run defender. I think he's a more physical, stronger player than K'Lavon Chaisson. Personally, I would prefer him over K'Lavon Chaisson. But just the fact that you can have Chaisson on the list is pretty wild. And then the final guy in that top 50 who is more of that interior rusher is somebody who we've already talked about a lot. It's John Franklin Myers. And how much will he cost? I'm not sure. But he makes so much sense. And does he make sense if Eric Armstead is still in the picture? Because they're kind of the similar role. I don't know. But if you talk about having a pass rush in these big money downs of Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker next to him, John Franklin Myers next to him, and then insert pass rusher that you draft or that you go find in free agency, that could be awesome. And I wouldn't be mad if they signed 2 pass rushers in free agency. Now, I do really want to see Buster Brown back. I would love to see Travis Etienne back. I'd love to see Devin Lloyd back, but they've got so many different options on the table. I think that with the group that is making the decisions, they're going to figure out a good way to move this thing forward. And I cannot wait to see it. Again, we've got a little over a month. Forgot to mention, we do have a pretty major hat restock over on the website, ginjag.com right now. This hat I'm wearing is back up available. We got our cardiac cats. We've got all sorts of fun hats. So go check it out, ginjag.com. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.